All right, let's talk about building your own private highway to the cloud. Today, we're putting two of the biggest services head-to-head to see how they do it, AWS Direct Connect and Azure ExpressRoute. So let's jump right in.
So picture this. Your business is going all in on the cloud. You're moving all your most important applications, your most sensitive data. But then you hit a wall. And that wall, more often than not, is the public internet, the same network we all use every day, which can become a massive bottleneck when you're talking about enterprise needs.
And that leads us perfectly into our first section, the cloud connectivity problem. I mean, what's the big deal? Why exactly do businesses need to find an alternative to just using the internet?
Well, it really boils down to a few major headaches. First off, the performance is completely unpredictable. It's like hitting rush hour traffic, but you never know when it's going to happen. You also get inconsistent latency, which is an absolute killer for real-time applications. Then there's stuff like packet loss and jitter, basically your data getting jumbled or dropped along the way. And layered on top of all of that are some pretty serious security vulnerabilities. For a serious business, that whole combination is, well, it's a non-starter.
So this is where our private highways come into the picture. To get around all those problems, the two biggest cloud providers out there offer their own dedicated private solutions. First up is AWS Direct Connect. And let's be super clear here. This is not just a faster internet connection. Not even close. It is a completely private, dedicated network link that bypasses the public internet entirely. It's like having a private tunnel from your data center that goes straight into the AWS world. And on the other side of the ring, you've got Azure ExpressRoute. Fundamentally, it's doing the exact same job. It's all about creating a direct, private, and super reliable bridge from your own network straight into the Microsoft Cloud ecosystem.
So here they are, the two heavyweights. On one side, AWS Direct Connect, and on the other, Azure ExpressRoute. When your business decides it's time to build that private highway for your critical data, these are the two main players you're going to be choosing between.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty. How do these things actually work? We're going to take a look at the basic architecture and see how they create that connection from your world to the cloud. With AWS, the magic word is VIFs. That stands for Virtual Interfaces. So imagine you have one big physical connection. VIFs let you digitally slice that connection into multiple separate lanes. You can have one private VIF that goes to your secure virtual private cloud, your VPC, and then a totally separate public VIF for accessing public AWS services like S3. It's all running over that same private physical pipe. Now, Azure's approach is similar, but with its own lingo. They call the connection a circuit, and what's really cool is that it's built for redundancy from day one with a primary and a secondary connection. This circuit is then divided up using peerings. You'll have an Azure private peering for your private virtual networks, and then a Microsoft peering to get to all those public services like Office 365.
Okay, so we've got the plumbing figured out. Now let's get to the main event, the core of this whole thing. Comparing the key differences and strengths of each service.
From a 30,000-foot view, these services look remarkably similar. They're both private fiber links. The bandwidth options are pretty much identical, stretching from 50 megabits a second all the way up to a staggering 100 gigabits. But here is the crucial point of difference, the ecosystem. Direct Connect is laser-focused. It's AWS only. ExpressRoute, however, connects you to the entire Microsoft universe.
And honestly, this is a massive strength for Azure. If your company lives and breathes in Microsoft Office 365 or uses Dynamics 365, ExpressRoute isn't just a connection to your cloud servers. It's a high-performance, private on-ramp to the SaaS tools your employees use every single day. For a lot of organizations, that right there is the decider.
Azure also has another little trick up its sleeve called FastPath. The easiest way to think of it is like a special express lane on your private highway. It lets network traffic bypass the main virtual gateway and go straight to your virtual machines. The result? It can dramatically cut down latency and boost performance for your most demanding apps.
But let's not forget, under the hood, they're built on the same rock-solid foundation. They both use BGP, or Border Gateway Protocol, to handle routing. And if that sounds overly technical, just know this. It's the exact same battle-tested protocol that runs the entire global internet. So yeah, it's robust and it scales.
So, with all of that on the table, how in the world do you actually make the right choice for your business? Let's walk through a simple framework to help you decide.
It really just comes down to answering 4 key questions. 1. Where's your center of gravity? Are you an AWS shop or an Azure shop? 2.
What does your wider ecosystem look like? Is Office 365 absolutely critical to how you operate? 3. Check your specific compliance and security needs. And finally, number 4, you gotta follow the money. And that's not just the monthly fee for the port or circuit. You have to dig into data transfer fees, especially the egress fees, what it costs to pull data out of the cloud. Those costs can really sneak up on you and make a huge difference to your total bill.
And this quote just nails it. There isn't a single better service. This is not a technical showdown. It is 100% about finding the perfect fit for your organization, your needs, and the way you're already set up.
So here's the key takeaway, the simplest way to look at it. If your entire world revolves around AWS, then Direct Connect is the seamless, logical choice. It's a no-brainer. But if your organization is deeply woven into that bigger Microsoft ecosystem, Azure, Office 365, Dynamics, then ExpressRoute is almost certainly the way to go.
But I'll leave you with one final question to chew on. In today's multi-cloud world, where more and more companies are using services from both AWS and Azure, is picking just one private highway really the final answer? Or is the future of enterprise networking really about building connections to both? That's the big question a lot of businesses are starting to grapple with right now.